On this channel, we provide useful programming information with practical code examples. This time, it's about the CSS properties related to the decoration of the box model. You can learn how to write properties such as borders and shadows. You can also check how the display of borders differs between the border property and the outline property. Enabling subtitles will make the code descriptions easier to understand. Please make use of it. Let's first look at the border property. The border property is used in CSS to set the frame of an element. Border consists of three elements: width, style, and color, and they are combined to set the element's frame. Use border width to specify the thickness of the border. Units are specified in px, m, %, etc. Specify the type of border with border style. You can specify the following values: none, no border; solid, solid line; dotted, dotted line; dashed, dashed line; double, double line; groove, grooved line; ridge, ridged line; inset, inset shadow line; outset, outset shadow line. Specify the color of the border with border color. Color can be specified using color names, RGB, RGBA, hex, etc. You can also set different styles for each side like this. You can also specify each aspect separately using border width, border style, and border color. Using the border radius property, you can round the corners of the border. Next, let's look at the border radius property. The border radius property is used to round the corners of an element. You can smoothly curve the four corners of an HTML element, transforming rectangles or squares into a rounded design. Border radius all rounded class makes all the corners round with 20 pixels, resulting in a smoothly rounded box. Border radius top left rounded class rounds only the top left corner with 20 pixels, keeping other corners square. Border radius ellipse corners class creates elliptical corners, resulting in a box with horizontally stretched rounded shape. The value of the border radius property is usually specified in pixels or percentages. Also, you can set from 1 to 4 values. Specifying one value makes all corners uniformly round. Specifying two values applies the first value to the top left and bottom right corners, and the second value to the top right and bottom left corners. By specifying 4 values, you can set different radii for each corner. The values are applied clockwise from the top left. You can also specify individually like border top left radius. The border radius property can also specify vertical and horizontal radii individually to make the corners elliptical. In this case, separate with /. For example, specifying 50 px, 25 px, makes the horizontal radius 50 pixels and the vertical radius 25 pixels. Border radius is a property to round the corners of an element. You can specify the roundness of the corners in pixels or percentages, apply it to all corners, specific corners, or make them elliptical. It is useful for flexible designs and customizing user interfaces. Next, let's look at the outline property. The outline property is a CSS property to set the line drawn around an element. Outline is similar to border, but differs in the following points. Outline does not affect the box model of the element, so it does not impact the layout of the element. Since outline is drawn outside the element, it appears outside of border. Border is drawn inside the element, so it can affect the size and layout of the element. In this example, the outline property is set as follows. The outline solid class sets a 2px thick solid red outline. The outline dashed class sets a 3px blue dashed outline. The outline double class sets a 4px thick green double line outline. The outline offset class sets a 10px space between the outline and the element. The basic syntax of the outline property is as follows. Outline width specifies the thickness of the outline. You can specify specific values like thin, medium, thick, or in units like px, m. Outline style specifies the style of the outline. You can specify styles like solid, dotted, dashed, double, groove, ridge, inset, outset, none, etc. Outline color specifies the color of the outline. You can specify any color using names, hex, RGB, etc. Outline offset specifies the distance between the outline and the element. You can specify exact values in units like px, m, etc. Next, let's take a look at the box shadow property. The box shadow property is used to add shadows to elements. By using this property, you can create shadows around elements to express a sense of dimensionality and depth. In the box shadow basic shadow class, a blurred black shadow is displayed at the bottom right of the element. In the box shadow inset shadow class, a blurred shadow is displayed inside the element. With the shadow entering inside, you can achieve a sunken design. In the box shadow multiple shadow class, two shadows, black and red, are applied to the element. Since they are displayed at different positions, a three-dimensional effect is achieved. The syntax of the box shadow property is as follows. The first, horizontal offset, is the value of the horizontal offset, specifying the position of the shadow from the left side of the element. Specifying a positive value places the shadow to the right, and a negative value places it to the left. The second, vertical offset, is the value of the vertical offset, specifying the position of the shadow from the top side of the element. Specifying a positive value places the shadow below, and a negative value places it above. The third, blur radius, is the value for the amount of blur, specifying the blurriness of the shadow. The larger the value, the more the shadow spreads, resulting in a more blurred shadow. Specifying a positive value places the shadow below, and a negative value places it above. This is optional, and the default is 0, meaning no blur on the shadow. The fourth, spread radius, is the spreading range value, specifying how much the shadow spreads. Specifying a positive value will make the shadow grow larger, while a negative value will make it shrink. This value is also optional. The fifth, color, is the color value, specifying the color of the shadow. Colors can be set using color names, RGB, hex, HSL, and other color models available in CSS. If omitted, the default text color of the element, value of the color property is applied. You can also specify the inset keyword first. Specifying the inset keyword draws the shadow inside the element instead of outside. It is also possible to set multiple shadows separated by commas. Let's take a look at some examples of the box shadow property. This is an example of a basic shadow. The horizontal offset is 10 px, creating a shadow 10 pixels to the right. The vertical offset is 10 px, creating a shadow 10 pixels downward. The blur radius is 5 px, resulting in a shadow blur of 5 pixels. The color is RGBA 0.5, resulting in a semi-transparent black. This is an example of an inner shadow. Using inset draws the shadow inside the element. This is an example of multiple shadows. You can also set multiple shadows separated by commas. In this example, two shadows are applied, a black shadow and a red shadow. Box shadow is a property used to add shadows to elements to create a sense of depth. By combining horizontal and vertical offsets, blur, spread radius, and color, a variety of effects can be achieved. You can draw shadows inside with inset, and you can also set multiple shadows at once. The source code for this video can be downloaded from the official website. If you like, please visit the URL in the description to aid your learning. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to enjoy more content, please subscribe to the channel.